Welcome to the Lovestead. Hi friends, this is part 2 of a vlog that I cut in half previously. So if you didn't watch part 1, loop back and watch part 1 before you watch this one because it will make a whole lot more sense, and enjoy. Hello, it is Thursday, May 16th, so I wanted to just do a little updatery with you. Non-bookish stuff first. Not a whole lot happening. I got to participate in the Lair Readathon and that was really fun, but I think I already shared that with you. I am really close to finishing The Crown. If you watch my last vlog, you know I am in the last season of The Crown. I'm always behind on TV because I just don't prioritize it, but I did watch an episode last night, and it was the one with Margaret, like Margaret's last episode, and it undid me. I was like sobbing at the end of it. Oh my gosh. And then I just have one episode left, so I'll definitely be finishing The Crown this month. Now the next show I think I want to start is Supernatural, and one of the good things about being behind on television is most of the shows that I like and want to watch are already like wrapped up. So I want to start Supernatural, and I have watched Supernatural through like season 6 and stopped. And so I'm going to have to like restart from the very beginning so that I can watch it all the way through and finish it. So that's my next show project. I know Supernatural has like a huge following. It's super popular. And so I think I will watch that. I mean, I rewatch my favorite shows all the time. Like, especially like one of my favorite things to do is to put on one of my favorite shows while I'm working, or put on one of my favorite shows in the background while I'm reading. So like some of my rewatch shows I've been watching is Pretty Little Liars, Seinfeld I've been rewatching while I do other things. Yeah. And then I just bought a ticket to go see the new Amy Winehouse biopic called Back to Black. It is releasing this weekend and I'm so excited. So I have been a big fan of Amy Winehouse, you know, back when she was alive. And then in my early days as a professional, I briefly worked in journalism and publishing. And I worked for a couple different magazines before print media went under. And one of them was called Plucky Magazine. And it was a magazine specifically covering like LGBTQ issues and entertainment and all of that. And the first story that I wrote for them was covering Amy Winehouse's death. So it's kind of, I don't know, it kind of has a special place in my heart, I guess, because there's that sort of personal connection to her story and the event and all of that. So I've watched the previews for this movie and it looks like it's going to be really good. Like I feel like the actress who is playing Amy's got her like mannerisms down pretty well. So I'm excited. I'm gonna go on Saturday, and I got a seat in one of the Dream Loungers. I don't know if you have like a Marcus Theaters near you, but they have these Dream Loungers. They have like heated reclining seats and like a huge screen, and like it's gonna be so fun. At least I hope it will be. Hopefully it's a good movie. But I watched the Eras Tour in the same theater. It was amazing. So I think that covers my main like non-bookish media stuff. My back garden, my rose garden, is looking pretty good. I am going to turn it, I think, into primarily a rose garden. I have some salvia plants I think I'm going to get rid of. and instead replace them with rose bushes. And so I am working on figuring out what bushes and like ordering them and that kind of thing. I get like really fancy heirloom roses. I'm not getting roses from Menards. I order fancy heirloom ones that have like a history and all of that because I think that's more fun. And that is that. Critters are good. Work is fine. Yeah, let's talk about books. I DNF'd Black Sunshine. DNF'd. I made it to like 30% before I DNF'd it. I should have just DNF'd it after the prologue. Like, I read that prologue and I was like, oh, this isn't going to be good. Had that gut feeling where I was like, I am not going to like this. And then it would kind of keep drawing me back in with certain plot points and things like that. One thing I really did like about this book was the imagery, kind of like Haunting Adeline. Like, I really like the imagery in that, and I really like the imagery in this, like red roses, lots of black and white, like lots of like tattoos and symbolism, but like that was kind of it. The plot was really dragging and parts of it felt very cheesy, and the writing was super cheesy, didn't like it. The characters felt pretty flat to me, and I felt like there are like these little homages to Twilight, but they weren't very well done. Like, when you do an homage to a series, it's usually like really obvious that you're just like putting in a little Easter egg, doing a connection, doing an homage. But with this book, I couldn't tell if it was an homage or if it was just like a bad ripoff, you know? And it felt like diet Twilight kind of, and I didn't really like the universe all that well, and like the magic systems or like the creatures within the universe I didn't love. It didn't feel any different than any other Wattpad vampire story, and I just was not enjoying it enough to spend my time finishing that book. I didn't care. I just didn't care about the characters, didn't care about the plot, and for me, that's my sign to DNF. So I did. I DNF'd it. And my Kindle Unlimited checkouts this round, because you saw the video now on what I currently have checked out on my Kindle. I've DNF'd so many of them now. They're not doing so well. I'm hoping that I'll eventually like some of these that I have checked out on my Kindle, but DNF'd that one. And then the next book that I'm picking up is called The Leftover Woman by Jean Kwok. And I will just read you the description here. Jasmine Yang arrives in New York City from her rural Chinese village without money or family support, fleeing a controlling husband on a desperate search for the daughter who is taken from her birth at another female casualty of China's controversial one-child policy. But with her husband on her trail, the clock is ticking, and she's forced to make increasingly risky decisions if she ever hopes to be reunited with her daughter. Meanwhile, publishing executive Rebecca Whitney seems to have it all. A prestigious family name and the wealth that comes with it, a high-powered career, a beautiful home, a handsome husband, and an adopted Chinese daughter she adores. She's even hired a nanny to help her balance the demands of being a working wife and mother. When an industry scandal threatens to jeopardize not only Rebecca's job but her marriage, this perfect world begins to crumble and her role in her own family is called into question. The Leftover Woman finds these two unforgettable women on a shocking collision course, twisting, suspenseful, and surprisingly poignant. This is a profound exploration of identity and belonging, motherhood and family. It's a story of two women in a divided city, separated by severe economic and cultural differences, yet bound by a deep emotional connection to a child. I am a child-free woman. I am almost 40 years old. I have never wavered on not wanting kids, and I don't regret my decision. So sometimes I struggle a little bit to read books about motherhood because it's something that I've never wanted. But I do continue to read them because I'm trying to understand people who live lives different from mine. So there's that. And then I have read from Jean Kwok before. I read her book Girl in Translation, and I thought it was really excellent. And so since I have experience with this author before and I've really liked her work, I definitely wanted to read this one. And she's another AAPI author, so we're getting another one to celebrate AAPI month. Honestly, I read AAPI authors throughout the year, but you know, it's always good to highlight them during their celebration months. So yeah, this is my next read. I will start this tonight, actually. And then audiobook. Yeah, I am about halfway through The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I think this is my least favorite one out of the 3 that I've read so far. I feel like the plot has kind of stalled out a little bit in terms of like the mysteries and the riddles and things like that. They're just not quite as polished or as interesting as the first 2 books. And this one is spending a lot more time on the romance aspects of things, which is fine. Like, that can happen. It's just, I feel like it's not quite got the same tenor as the first 2 books did. But I am still enjoying it. Like, the first 2 books were like a 3.5 star. I think this is still going to fall within that 3-star range. And I'll still end up reading the next book in the series. But it's just not my favorite one out of all of them. And yeah, I'm about halfway through it. But who knows? I'm only halfway through. Maybe it'll pick up and be really exciting here in the last half. I got to read it really fast because it's due back in like 2 days. So we'll see. We will see how that one turns out. So that's the reading update, life updates, hobby updates. You are updated. It is Monday, May 20th, and I had a pretty good weekend. So I went to see Back to Black, which was the Amy Winehouse biopic, and I really liked it. I thought that they did such a good job tastefully handling a really difficult story. A couple thoughts that I had. One was I thought the woman who played Amy did a phenomenal job. Like, she nailed it. 2, I really loved hearing the music and just like kind of, I don't know, getting to see in real time some ways those songs may have been written and what inspired them. And then another thought I had was I kept thinking about the documentary that covers Amy Winehouse's life. It's called Amy. It's on Netflix. And in that documentary, they really framed her father as kind of exploitive, similar to how Britney Spears' father exploited her. And so it kind of shows him like pushing Amy to continue to perform and be on stage even at the height of her addiction problems, and at her lowest lows he's still pushing her to make money and things like that. You know, documentaries are framed in specific ways by the directors, and so directors have a lot of ability to paint people as one way or another, you know, and that was that director's sort of interpretation of Amy's relationship with her father. Now in the movie, Back to Black, they kind of paint him in a little better light, and I thought it was a bit refreshing just to see a different perspective on him. And he doesn't necessarily exploit her in Back to Black, but it's more like him trying to do what he thinks is best for his daughter in a situation where there's just no right answers, you know? And I thought that it was a nice way to sort of balance out how this man has been portrayed in other forms of media. You know, we'll never really know. We're not a member of that family. We'll never really know the truth of what happens in any stories like this. So I can appreciate when we get a different perspective, or a different way of looking at how things might have gone down. And I really like the movie. You know, it's a tough subject. I'm a big fan of Amy Winehouse, and I told you the backstory about how she was my first story when I was on the entertainment beat for Plucky magazine. So yeah, I'm really happy I got to go see the movie. And then I did finish The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is book 3 in the Inheritance Game series. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good way to sort of wrap up the story. Like, there's no loose ends at the end, and there was like a satisfying culmination of events. I like the way it ended, and now I'm confused as to how there are 2 more books in this series. Like, this felt like the end of the series, and it felt like a good place to stop. And now I'm like, oh no. Because I think sometimes authors and publishing houses do this thing where they'll plan for a series to end at a certain point, like Pretty Little Liars did this. So they'll plan for the series to end at a certain point, but when they realize it's a really popular and they're making a lot of money on it, then they're suddenly like, we need to continue it, even though it really didn't need to be continued. So like Pretty Little Liars was supposed to end at book 8, but because it was so popular and the show was so popular, they were suddenly like, let's write 8 more. And so it was like kind of tacked on at the end. The second 8 books, or the books 9 through 16, were written after the show had aired. And it was like a money grab, I feel like. And I'm wondering if it's going to be another situation like that with the Inheritance Games, where the publisher realized, hey, these are really popular, we're getting lots of reads, we're making some money, add more so we make more money, kind of thing, even though that's not necessarily what's best to the integrity of the story. So I am going to go into book 4 and 5 very cautiously with very low expectations, because to me, Final Gambit was the Final Gambit. Like, that felt like the end of the story, and I have no idea how she's going to continue or add on to this story in a way that will work well. So I guess we'll see. And then I am, I think Goodreads says like 40% of the way into The Leftover Woman by Jean Kwok. I'm enjoying this. It took me quite a while to actually get into it. There's a lot of exposition in this. There's a lot of telling rather than showing. And this is a short book. It's under 300 pages. So I think that it would benefit from actually being longer. So instead of just telling us things, she could actually show us this stuff. And it would help us to get more attached to the characters. She just kind of like dumps us right into this story without a whole lot of context or build up. And I think like adding a bit more context and build up at the beginning would be beneficial, because I actually considered DNFing it after like the first 40 pages. When I got to about page 60, then I was like, okay, it got better. Like, there was less of the info dumping and the pacing got better, and it felt more immersive. I was able to be immersed in the story at about page 60. So that's my experience reading this so far. And I think that's all the updates I have for you. Jerry. What? Jerry? Squawk. Ooh, hi. Squawk. Jerry. Hi, baby. Oh. Oh. Squeak, squawk. Jerry. Hi. Meh. Rah. 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 Eh? Jerry. We are under a major, like, severe storm and tornado watch, and there's already been like a couple tornadoes in the southern part of the state, and it's supposedly moving up our direction, and it's not looking great outside. I'm a little bit nervous. Storms freak me out, but it is what it is, and it'll be what it'll be, right? It's out of our control. But there's that. I feel like we're about to get walloped. Walloped, I say. The camera isn't picking it up, but it's looking pretty green out there, folks. Hello, it's Wednesday, May 22nd. We survived the storms. Areas around us didn't do so well, but like the worst of it seemed to go around like my particular community. Maggie and Orlando and I did some sleuthing on our walk today to kind of see like what our neighborhood looked like post-storm, and there's like tree branches down and stuff, but overall we are a-okay. I didn't even lose power during the storm, like thank you Jesus, and about half of our city lost power. I didn't lose power though, which like hallelujah. There were some parts of Iowa that got hit pretty bad, so if you are the praying sort, send one up for Red Oak, Iowa and Greenfield, Iowa. They got hit the worst yesterday with tornadoes and stuff. So we survived that round. I mean, it's Iowa. There's going to be a tornado that hits my community at some point. It's not a matter of if, it's when. In more positive news, we are having like a pop girl spring here this 2024, and I am loving it. So we had Ariana Grande's new album, Beyonce's new album, Taylor Swift's new album, and Billie Eilish's new album dropped this month, and I just listened to it today and I love it. I love it. It is a no skip album for me. I loved every song. There's one that I like the most. I think it's called Dinner or Dining or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, that one is my favorite. Have you listened to Billie's new album? Which ones were your favorites? Let me know down below. Today I got some mail. So I ordered a couple of doggy gates because I want to redo the aviary where my bunnies are and just make it a little harder for them to get into certain spots because they're making messes. It's like, it's not great right now. They've made a real mess of some things and like ruined the carpet in the room in a certain area and yada yada. So I'm going to try to redo that in a way where they still have plenty of room to run around, but they're a little bit more contained than they are at the moment. And perhaps once I get that all redone and set up for them, I will show you what I did. So I got those 2 dog gates that came in the mail today. And I also got book mail because there was a book release this month that I had to get. I ordered this myself. It's not a gift. As I'm opening this box, tell me in the comments, predict which book you think it is. So there is a series of books I've been ordering all year because they're slowly being re-released across 2024 with new covers. Guess it, guess it. Tell me down below which one you think it is. Tell me, tell me, tell me. This box is really difficult to open. This box is also far too large for the book it contains, but that's neither here nor there. Good Lord, it's anti-theft. Did you guess it? Kill Switch! It is my absolute favorite romance of all time. So my favorite romance series is a dark romance series, a very dark series. If you are interested in reading it, know that it is very dark. But it's being re-released this year with all new covers. And I got the first 2, and this is number 3. It is my favorite book in the series. It is my favorite romance of all time. The amount of joy I'm feeling right now holding this book in my hands is just... If you're a book lover, you know what it feels like. You know what it feels like. I read these on Kindle Unlimited, so to have an actual book, oh, it's just, oh, it's a happy day. It's a noteworthy day. My plan with these is to reread them in the same way that I reread some of my other favorite series, like the Rizzoli and Isles series, where basically, like, I reread them, and I'll start from the first and read it throughout the year, and then once I read the whole series, I'll start it all over again. One thing I am curious about is if they're going to release the novellas as a paperback or not, because what would come after this then would be a novella, and I'll buy the novellas if they release them in paperback. I don't know if they're going to be doing that though. We'll just have to see. But then obviously the next one that they're going to release is the last book in the series. Includes bonus material. Wait a minute. Does this have Conclave in it? Oh no, it just has a bonus scene. That's cool though. I'll take a bonus scene. Heck yeah. Yeah, so the next would be a novella called Conclave. Well, I'll just have to keep an eye on it and see if they're going to release those as paperbacks. I hope they do. I really hope they do. Next in bookish updates, I finished The Leftover Woman by Jean Kwok. I gave it 2 stars. I was shocked as well because I loved the previous work I read by her so much. Like, I thought it was absolutely brilliant, but this I thought read like a dramatic Lifetime movie. Like, it was so melodramatic and it really sort of defaulted to stereotypes. And as I was reading it, I was like, this feels kind of iffy. It feels kind of problematic to me. So I actually looked up some reviews. And it's interesting because this is an Own Voices story. I don't know how much time Jean Kwok spent in China, but I know that she is Chinese. But I did end up reading this review from another person on Goodreads, and it sort of confirmed what my concerns were with it. So Muhan Liang says, cringy, outdated, stereotypical, and predictable. This book truly is an unoriginal and inauthentic representation of a society that the author was never familiar with in mainland China. I can't confirm or deny that statement, but perhaps Muhan did a little bit of research on it. With numerous laughable, preposterous, and condescending details, as a Chinese immigrant from mainland China myself, I feel very uncomfortable with the way the author uses her hypocritical, inaccurate, and patronizing voice to spread narratives like this to sell and to entertain Americans. That is pretty scathing. And I did pick up on just some overtones in this, like the way that she writes the main character's English accent made me cringe a little bit. Like, it was so uncomfortable. And like the way that the Chinese mafia is worked into it felt very stereotypical and like hyperbolic, and I don't know, it just felt like it played into stereotypes. It's what I can say about it. And it's, like I said, I'm shocked because I loved her first work so very much, and I just did not like this book. So I gave it 2 stars. The good news is reading that has moved the needle a little bit on my read to unread ratio. So I am back at, I had like fallen behind where I started this year because I bought so many books, but I'm back at 40% read, 60% unread, which means from this point forward, I can move closer to the actual goal, which is to get to 50% read. It's not going to happen with this book though, because it's a library book. The next one I'm picking up is Chlorine by Jade Song. I think I read you the description of this when I did my library haul, so I won't reread it to you, but that's what I'm picking up next. And then I have decided on my next audiobook. It is a new release. It's called Blood at the Root by Ladarian Williams. I'll read you the Goodreads description. A teenager on the run from his past finds the family he never knew existed and the community he never knew he needed at an HBCU for young, black, and magical. Oh, cool. Oh, that's awesome. So if you don't know, HBCU stands for Historically Black College and University. So it's an HBCU for the young, black, and magical. Enroll in this fresh fantasy debut with the emotional power of Legendborn and the refined ancestral magic of Lovecraft Country. Okay, I haven't read Lovecraft Country, but y'all know I'm obsessed with Legendborn, so I'm really excited to read this. Yeah, I have it checked out from my library on audiobooks, so I haven't started it yet, but I will probably start it, if not today and tomorrow doing house chores, definitely Friday when I'm doing barn chores. 29th. I hopefully remember what I talked to you about my last check-in. But I think since my check-in, we've had Memorial Day weekend. And over the weekend, I ran some errands. Like I went to the library and I checked out a bunch of manga because I'm going to try to figure out what my next manga series is that I'm going to read. I'm a little bit limited by what my library has. And unfortunately, manga is something that gets stolen a lot from the library. And so sometimes I'll have like the first in a series on hold at the library, and then it'll come up and say no longer in circulation or whatever because it gets stolen or damaged or whatever. But I did find the first volume of a couple different series I'm curious about. Now my library does not always carry like the entire series either of different series, so it is a little bit limiting. I do not have a budget line for purchasing manga at the moment. Manga are really expensive and there's like so many of them in a series, and I don't have space on my shelf honestly to purchase more manga, so I'm limited in what I can do there to what my library has. So you'll see that library haul in my upcoming June library haul. I'll hopefully get that filmed, uploaded, and posted this week. And then reading updates. I'm about halfway through Blood at the Root and I am enjoying it. I can't say that it's a new favorite of all time, but I think it is fantastic for what the writer's goal was for it. So the writer's goal was to create fantasy literature for young Black teens, and I think he absolutely accomplished that. This is reading a lot like Amari and the Night Brothers, only for a more teen audience. Really similar to that, like the main character's mom is missing. He goes to a magical school. He's really interested in finding his mom. He's learning about his powers, like very, very similar to Amari. And it's a fun time. Like there's nothing bad that I can say about it. It's a fun time. I'm obviously not the target audience, but I do think that it's really well done. It's fun, it's fast paced, and it is something that the target audience will really, really like. I also finished Chlorine by Jade Song and gave it 4 stars. This book, I don't even know what to say about this book. Themes? I guess we could talk about themes. So some of the themes are girlhood, like horrifying girlhood, unhinged women, colonialism and decolonialism or decolonization, racism, sexism, especially within the context of competitive sports, sapphic love, trauma, figuring out who you are. It's so cerebral and complex and layered and weird that I have a really hard time even telling you fully what it's about, because to tell you would be to spoil things. I would just say if you like any of those themes that I listed and you like magical realism and literary horror, you would probably enjoy this. I really did like it. I'm going to be thinking about it for a very long time, and I gave it 4 stars. Next, I'm going to be picking up a reread of one of my all-time favorites. I'll try to link you to a video I did on my favorite books of all time. I'm going to film another video of like additional books that have made that list since then. But this is, I consider it the top of the top, my favorite book of all time. It is Orlando by Virginia Woolf. One of my friends is picking it up and reading it for the first time, and it made me really want to read it too. So this will be a buddy read with my friend Destiny, and it sounds like Chelsea from Read Chelsea Read is going to join our buddy read as well. Let me read you the description. As his tale begins, Orlando is a passionate young nobleman whose days are spent in rowdy revelry. Say that 5 times fast. Filled with the colorful delights of Queen Elizabeth's court. By the close, he will have transformed into a modern 36-year-old woman, and 3 centuries will have passed. Orlando will witness the making of history from its edge, dressing in the flamboyant fashions of each day, following passion, customs, and socializing with celebrated artists and writers. Orlando's journey will also be an internal one. He is an impulsive poet who learns patience in matters of the heart, and a woman who knows what it is to be a man. Virginia Woolf's most unusual and fantastic creation, Orlando is a funny, exuberant romp through history that examines the true nature of sexuality. And it's pitched on here as Virginia Woolf's most intense and one of the most singular novels of our era. Destiny had also posted something in our Discord that Carmen Maria Machado had said about this that I thought was spot on. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so she said, also, Carmen Maria Machado writes in her introduction to Orlando that it's a text that sends a singular figure pell-mell through and against history like a genderqueer Forrest Gump. I love that description. So Orlando is also a weird book. I love weird books. It's weird, it's cerebral, fantastical, wonderful explosion of greatness. And I'm excited to reread it. I have not reread this since like 2009. That has been a criminally long time to wait to reread my favorite book of all time. Good Lord. So I will start this tonight with our buddy read. I'm really excited. Hi, it is Saturday, June 1st. June 1st, which means we got to wrap up this May vlog. Oh gosh. Haven't done a whole lot of checking in this week because I've had some flare-ups of my chronic conditions and just haven't been feeling the best physically or mentally. But for reading, I did finish Blood at the Root by Ladarian Williams, and I gave it 3.5 stars. I'm not the target audience for this book. The target audience is like teenage black boys, which is fan-freaking-tastic. I love that. And it's really wonderful for them. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful for them. If I was, I'm assuming, a teenage boy, I would probably give it 5 stars. Like, it's adventure filled. There's a bit of romance. There's character growth. There's tension. There's humor. Magical schools. Good plot twists. Like, it's very good. It is like an Amari for teen boys, and it's wonderful. I'm so glad that it exists. I think for me, since I'm not the target audience, it didn't hit it a 5 stars. But please don't let that take away from, like, this is a fantastic book for the target audience. So yeah, it was a 3.5 star for me, but I love it, and I'm so happy that it exists, and I hope that Ladarian continues to write for this audience, because it's definitely a gap that needs to be filled in teen literature. I'm looking around because I know I brought my physical book in here with me, but I don't see it. Or my phone. Brain fog is a real something, because so yeah, thank you, brain fog. I don't know where I put my book or my phone. I'm gonna have to go on a hunt after I film this, but I am reading Orlando by Virginia Woolf. I think I mentioned it. It is one of my favorite books of all time, if not my favorite book of all time, and I'm finding as I read it, I'm just like getting so emotional as I read certain passages, because it takes me back to the time in my life when I first read it. And it's a weird synchronicity for me right now, because when I first read it, I was in graduate school, my first graduate program, probably the happiest I've ever been, and surrounded by so many incredible people. And this weird synchronicity has happened for me since I picked Orlando up to reread it here at the end of May, where as soon as I started reading that book, all these people from that time in my life have started to reach back out to me and reconnect with me. And it's been such a healing experience. It's been such a difficult experience. I loved who I was at that time in my life, and it was like right at the cusp of when I started to get really sick. And it was a time where I had so many hopes and dreams, and I was headed on a trajectory that was so exciting and was setting myself up for so much success and meeting, like I said, meeting incredible people and going to incredible events and traveling and getting so much like career growth, and my art and my music and my writing was flourishing. And then it was like it all came to an abrupt halt when I got sick. And there was a good 15-year gap after that where it just feels like a black hole. For so many reasons, a black hole. And I'm getting back to a place where I feel like that thriving version of myself again. I'm getting back to a place where you saw even in my vlogs, like I'm going out more, I'm going to poetry readings, I've started writing again. I'm physically more active, I'm riding my horse, I am building this home that I love and that I can thrive in and that I can feel safe in. I'm taking some bigger steps in my career right now, and like I'm just getting back to being like who I feel like I was meant to be and who I was at the time I first read Orlando. And it's been such an emotional process, as you can see, and it's the fact that these people from that time in my life are coming out of the woodwork and reconnecting with me. I'm not going after them. I'm not like reaching out to them. They're all showing up in my inbox or sending me text messages. And I've done nothing different in my life to warrant this kind of outreach. But it just is such a like a chilling and impactful and powerful synchronicity for me, where I'm about 25% of the way through Orlando. It's been a deeply moving experience. And I will continue to read it into the next vlog, so you'll have to see, but you'll just have to watch the next vlog to see. Yeah, we will wrap it up here. May has been, it's been something. It's been a highly emotional, healing month for me. So for this month's emoji, leave any color of heart that you want to leave. And until next time, make sure that you continue to read good books, drink good coffee, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.